You're listening to Real Facts on Real Estate with Sean Patrick Maloney.
This sounds good.
Welcome to Episode 1, Becoming a Real Estate Agent in Massachusetts. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Maloney. Hey guys, I wanted to take some time today to talk to you about becoming a real estate agent in the state of Massachusetts, what it takes, and what it means to become a real estate agent. One of the first questions I have for you is it for you? A lot of people think that becoming a real estate agent is what we see on TV. HGTV, as well as some others, have done a great job of making our job look very glamorous, very quick, easy, and ultimately like you're going to be a movie star. I'm here to tell you the truth and teach you a little bit about it. The first question you want to ask yourself is, do you have the skills? The skill sets that are needed to be a real estate agent are diverse. But some of the most important would be marketing, sales, and customer service. The reason marketing is the first one I said is because it's the most important. Ultimately, we are marketers that market properties to get them sold. We don't just have buyers that walk in the door. We market the property or we market ourselves to find the listings. The second is sales. Once we have that buyer and they're in our grasp, we have to turn them around and make them into a buyer that's actually willing to commit to the purchase of the property. Sales is not the easiest job, but if you have it, you can sell anything. So if you're currently in a job where you're selling makeup, cell phones, cars, or anything else, and you're doing a great job at it, then real estate is the job for you because our commission's the largest because we're selling the highest dollar volume product you're going to sell. The next one is customer service. If you're the type of person that has trouble getting along with people, this probably is not the job for you because this is a customer-forward business. We are constantly in front of people, constantly being challenged, and always need to be on our best behavior. If these sound like skills that you have, then maybe this is the job for you, so let's talk about what it takes to get the license. Real estate is one of the lowest bars of entry for the amount of money that can be earned. Becoming a six-figure earner within the first year is simple. That said, there is a bar of entry that is a 40-hour class. So first, you sign up for the class. The class is available in many fashions. I highly suggest doing the one in person because there are online courses, but as you know in the modern day world with so many distractions, it's very difficult to focus. And the class makes you be present for 40 hours in front of a teacher where you can't be using your cell phone and you can't have any of the distractions of life. But if you don't have the time available to make the 40-hour class work, there are other options like online courses. With the online courses, it is a little less expensive and it is a little more readily available. With the online courses, I always suggest pairing it with a study guide. I've found some great study guides, and if you reach out to me after this podcast, I can hook you up with the right people, including the online course as well as the study guide to get you to the licensing. We've found that when we first sent people to the online course and they didn't do the exam, that we had a very high failure rate. And then looking further into it, I found out that it was the distractions in the background that were making people not pay attention and not get it done. So do remember that even though it is a low bar of entry with only a 40-hour course, there is an exam and it is very technical. Nothing that you take within this exam is normal day life. Like if I was to say to you riparian rights right now, if you've never taken a real estate course, you may have no idea what that means and that I'm talking about the rights for somebody who has property up against a river. These are things that you're going to learn during the course, but then again, you don't use them in a daily value, so you really need to make sure that you study hard to take this exam. The next step after the 40-hour course is to take the exam. The exam runs $54. You can take it through the state, you register online, you go to a location, they sit you in front of a computer. It is not an open book test, it is a closed book test. You sit in front of the computer and you must get at least a 70, which is a passing result, in order to get the license. After you take the test, you then need to pay the state a $103 fee for a real estate salesperson's license. The real estate salesperson's license is the first license. A real estate salesperson's license allows you to sell and buy real estate, but you cannot do it alone. You must work for a broker. So at that point, you actually have to figure out what brokerage would you choose to go to. The way to choose a brokerage can be very misleading to some people. It's very common for people to choose the biggest brand that they see or the most signs that they see when choosing a brokerage. The right way to choose a brokerage is to go into an interview with the brokerage and ask them many questions. Find out if it's the right core culture for you. Find out if you get along right with the people. Ask them what type of lead generation they do, and if they feed any leads directly to their agents or if you're on your own on getting them. Look what their visibility is like. Are they actually online, or are they hanging signs out in the public? If they're hanging signs out in the public but they're not online, that might not be the best choice. If they're online quite commonly, you see them everywhere you go and they're hanging signs, this may be a better choice. The next one down will be asking them about their training program. And be very specific when asking about the training program. Don't just say, do you have training? Because many offices say, yes, we have training, but after getting there, you find out they train you on how to be their agent. They don't train you on how to be an agent, but they train you about how their company runs, how their company operates, and why you need to be at their meetings and how you need to be at their meetings. Real training consists of actual, out-of-the-box thinking about sales, marketing, and customer service. This is very rare. Very few companies offer it, and I'm happy to say that my company, Movementum Realty, specializes in it. The next one to look into is, what is their growth strategies? Are they looking to grow, or are they pretty consistent and happy where they are? A fast-growing company is going to spend far more money on marketing than a company who is happy with the size they are, that is just looking to fill a few empty seats. When you read somebody saying that they're looking to hire 100 agents like my company is, you must know that they are trying to grow as quickly as possible. Therefore, they are going to have to spend money to put their money where their mouth is and continue the growth of their operation, which you ultimately as the agent will heavily benefit from. Once you've chosen the right brokerage, now it's time to hang your license over there. There's a lot of things to think about as far as costs and things that are going to be associated with getting going. Some of the costs that you might run into are Errors and Omissions Insurance, which is in case you make a mistake as an agent. Errors and Omissions Insurance is for that telltale example when you tell somebody that they're going to have a pool in the backyard and they can imagine it and there's no pool there currently, just a big open field. As soon as they buy the house, they go to put the pool in, they realize that it's right on top of the septic system and that there is no functional way to put a pool in the backyard. So now they sue you because you sold them a house based on the dream of having a pool there. Well, the good news is if you're carrying Errors and Omissions Insurance, which you must in the state of Massachusetts, you're covered on that. Not that you're not going to get in trouble, and not that there's not going to be something to deal with, but at least the financial burden and the overall process will be covered with your attorneys through your Errors and Omissions Insurance. Next one to think about is your car insurance. This one's overlooked by many agents. If you're using your car for commercial use, you must make sure it's properly insured. If your car is insured with a regular residential plan, chances are it's not. The good news is it usually does not cost much money, and it usually can be implemented that very day that you call your agent. No different than driving for Uber. You're using your car for commercial use as soon as you put a client in that seat and you're driving them to and from houses. So make sure you reach out to the agent before an accident because you will not be covered retroactively. The next type of insurance that you want to make sure you have is liability insurance. Even though when we sign listing agreements with clients, it says that they're responsible for clearing the snow off their property or leaves or any other tripping hazards or falls, and we have liability insurance for our offices as brokerages, you, the agent, are going to be spending a lot of time with somebody and they're going to be in your care. They're going to be moving around with you, and you can bet that if they slip and fall or if an issue happens, that they may come back and sue you. So liability insurance is something you should really look into as a business owner. Yes, I just said business owner. This is the first time I've used that term. Remember as a real estate agent that yes, you work for a brokerage, but ultimately you are not an employee, you are a subcontractor. And as a subcontractor, you're forced to have all your own insurance plans in place. So remember that even though your brokerage has coverage and they may cover you, you may also have to have your own coverage in case of a suit. If a lawsuit happens, they're going to sue the broker, you, the agent, and possibly the homeowner. So make sure you have yourself covered. The next thing you need to worry about is information technology. There is something called a WISP program. The word WISP stands for Written Information Security Program. This is something a lot of agents look over. They don't think that they need to worry about their computer. They don't password protect their cell phones. They put their laptop down at a coffee shop and leave it open, running and things. Well, this is a modern day age where people are stealing people's information more than ever. So make sure that you cover yourself in all these fields and categories. Again, that's why I used the term business owner just a few minutes ago. Business owner is what you are. You are not just an agent, you are a business owner, and you need to treat yourself accordingly. So you need to make sure you come in within compliance of all business laws within the state you work in, this state being Massachusetts. After you get all this going, it's time to get started. So most agents struggle here. They think to themselves, I'm just going to show up and people are going to call and it's going to be great. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but it's a lot of work. The first place you're going to get started is called your circle of influence. Your circle of influence is anyone that you could call right now and they would say, hey, XYZ name, it's great to hear from you. I'm so glad that you called. And you could have a conversation about things that you know about each other, the past, or the future, without any struggle. These are the people that are most likely to buy, sell, and work with you in the future to get you started. It's very difficult to get somebody who does not know you or trust you to work with you when you're a brand new agent. But this circle of influence knows that as a professional and seeing how hard you always work, that you are trustworthy and that you deserve the opportunity of that first sale. This circle of influence is something that you should immediately put into what's called a CRM, which is Client Relationship Manager, or some people call it a Customer Relationship Manager. Either way, you want to get those people in, start setting up a normal call cycle, and set up appointments with them. You want to get out and eat lunch with them. You want to be constantly telling them. They say it takes between 8 and 9 times telling somebody what you do for them to fully understand what it is you're doing. So as you're working on this, these are the reasons to go into the office every day. You want to spend time in the office. A lot of agents in this new digital world think that it's great that they don't ever have to go to the office. But the problem is, similar to the online classes, there are so many distractions in the world. There's so many things pulling your focus from what you're supposed to be doing. So by going into the office, by setting up best practices of time blocking, you're going to work more efficiently. I suggest to most agents that you time block 2 times in the day off for prospecting, morning and afternoon. Different people have different schedules. Some people are most available between 8 and 10 a.m., and other people are most available between 5 and 7 p.m. So I suggest that you take time on each one of those and you set up a bunch of calls each day. Some people suggest 10 calls, some people suggest 20 calls. There's no way to have a right number. The right number is the more you do, the better you'll do. The more effort you put in, the more you'll get out. That's the truth in any business. There is no secret to this business other than effort pays off. The next steps, those would be marketing and going out and possibly paying for leads. There are a lot of options when it comes to paid leads and marketing. Do not just go out and spend your money indiscriminately. Make sure to pay attention to what your return on investment is. That is the most important thing to remember. There is no such thing as a cost of marketing. There is an investment in marketing. If there is a cost to your marketing is going horribly wrong. If it is an investment, that means it's going to have a return. So in order to make it worth it and viable, you need to know that every dollar you put out is putting out at least $1.50. If it's putting out anything less than that when you first start off, you're in trouble. There are other costs than just the paycheck and having gone to the house for the person. Remember, we went over that you have to have different types of insurances. You're going to have a computer. You're going to have a car. And you're going to have many other things that cost a lot of money. And all of them will catch up in the long run when the computer is old, the car has miles on it, or the insurance plan renews. These are all times where you're going to be hit with big bills that are going to need money. And if you're not building money up in a reserve, you're going to have trouble. The last thing I want to remind you on before we get off this podcast is that taxes are something that kill a lot of real estate agents. As a subcontractor, you are going to get a check. As soon as you finish a deal, it closes, and the check is written, you're going to get a check for the entire amount of money. It seems great. You came from an employee job where you used to have taxes taken out, and now you just get a big fat check. Well, typically, anywhere between 15 and 30% of that money is due to the state and federal government. That means if you earn $100,000 that year in checks, that somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000 is going to be owed on your taxes. As you become an agent long-term, it makes sense to set up what's called quarterly payments or optional payments where you know you had a big sale and you send in extra money. At minimum, you should open a second bank account for taxes, and you should separate that money out and put it there so that when it comes tax time, you do not feel like, where am I going to get this money from? Why do they need so much money? Like I said, normally you would not get handed the money, but because you're running a company and you are a business, you're getting handed the full check. So make sure that you put that money away. Because when you follow my podcast and follow the guides to success I set for you, and you're a 6-figure earner within the first year, This means you're going to earn enough that you owe $15,000 to $30,000 in taxes just that first year alone. Can you imagine how much you'll owe in year 2 and 3? If you're making back tax payments and forward tax payments of $15,000 and $30,000, that means in year 2 you could owe as much as $30,000 to $60,000 and quickly become buried. Do not become a financial slave to the government. Make sure to separate your taxes. If you want to learn more about becoming an expert agent and earning 6 figures or more a year, follow my podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email them to me at sean@seanpatrickmaloney.com or message me on any of my social medias and I'd be happy to include them in the podcast. Good luck this year. I look forward to talking to you, and if you're looking for a job in real estate, we're hiring over 100 agents in the next 2 years. Have a great week.